Nice. Okay, so yes, once again, welcome to this very wonderful panel on recording traditional East African music. I am your host, Furaha, aka LaMusicJunkie. And yeah, today we are just going to be diving into the art of recording, preserving, archiving music, cultural music. And, you know, it's a very it's an important conversation I feel to have right now because we all know that like our culture in Africa is slowly being eroded because of urbanization and people moving into cities and forgetting where we've come from. Of course, the people who have this knowledge and culture are dying. And so there's such a huge need right now to record and archive this knowledge, this music, this culture before it goes away. And so that's why I'm joined with some amazing cultural practitioners and organizations who are doing this important work of basically saving our culture before it goes away and also just reimagining how it can move on into the future to the children and to the next generation. And this panel is also in collaboration with Singing Wells. Singing Wells is the world's largest archive of traditional East African music. So since 2011, they have been traveling all around the region, recording different groups who are making music, who are recording, who are doing um, traditional music in different ways. And yeah, they have a huge archive that's on YouTube. So many videos from Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. Um, they have field reports on the different places they've been. They've done an exhibition in Europe, and a lot more is coming. And representing Singing Wells is Tabu Osusa, who is the founder of Ketebul Music, which I'm sure you all know. They've written this wonderful book called Shades of Benga, released countless albums, just done a lot for the scene. But yeah, he's also a co-founder of Singing Wells alongside Abu Bila Music Foundation, which is based in the UK. So yeah, Karibu Tabu. Yeah, maybe something you want to tell us about Singing Wells.
Thank you, Furaha. I think you have almost said it all.
Almost, yeah.
Our core mission, of course, is to research, document, develop and promote the diverse musical traditions of East Africa. And as you correctly said, so that there's been lack of documentation in East Africa, and that can be seen very well with what is happening now in the country in terms of contemporary music. And for a long time, you can see that somehow we don't have a strong Kenyan identity because we don't have a role models to look up to. Our role models are now mostly from from America and other parts of Africa, but not Kenyans. Because when you meet young Kenyan, the current Kenyan musicians, they don't really have anything to refer to. And it's not any fault of us. It's just because we don't have proper documentation.
Yeah, and so that's where Ketebul music and also Singing Wells comes through because you are documenting and you have been, and so yeah, we are happy to have you here. And also, we've invited other collectives who are also doing similar work. The first one is, or the next one, is Uli and Tata, represented by Chief Nyamweya. Chief is a Kenyan writer, illustrator, and co-founder of Pungulupa Productions, which he mentioned. And yeah, also co-creator of Uli and Tata, which is this amazing musical series that follows two children who travel across Africa on a giant tobacco bird. learning children folk songs or nursery songs. Well, yeah, you could call them nursery songs, but like basically they're just folk songs from different parts of Africa, starting with Kenya. And yeah, one of my favorite shows ever. It's on YouTube, which you can watch the episodes. They do pop-ups, they do screenings for children, and they have an event coming up known as Pungulu Party. So we're also going to be interacting with Uli and Tata. So Karibu Chief.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Nice.
It was very comprehensive.
Yeah, if you didn't know, now you know.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, moving to the coast, we have Matt Swallow, UK-born singer-songwriter, producer, and creative director at Beneath the Baobabs. And yeah, also running the Baobab Studios in Kilifi. And yeah, they've been recording also amazing music from contemporary musicians, but also from traditional musicians at the coast, which is a very, very cool project known as Lutsaga project. How many genres of Mijikenda music have you recorded again? I forget.
I think 34.
34 genres.
We started in March. I think we started in March. So
of
now,
this year?
Of this year, yeah. So Karim has got a lot of mixing he's doing at the minute before we get back into the recording. But yeah.
Okay.
34 so far. Yeah.
Wonderful.
We've got a long way and a long way to go.
What's the target?
We'll start with I think 60 between across 3 communities. So the Giriama and the Kauma, we've started. We've nearly finished Bern, and then the Choni, we will are part of that first 60. That would be the first phase to try to finish in a year. So yeah, it's a big job. Yeah.
It clearly is, and thank you. I mean, I honestly didn't know there were over 60 genres of Mijikenda music alone. Well, that's crazy.
That's just in 3 communities of the
Imagine.
9.
Yeah.
Okay, the Giriama is the largest, so
yeah,
there are a lot in there. But yeah, we're discovering a lot each time every time we have a group come to the studio. Yeah, it's a huge journey of discovery for everybody. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Fantastic. So yeah, thank you for joining us, Matt.
Thank you.
Yeah. And yeah, continuing at the coast, we have Simila in Watamu. He's also a musician, producer, audio engineer, and he's representing music from East Africa, which is not just music, but it's also a record label that has been recording indigenous music from Kenya and the coast especially. And they have a lot of projects out. They've recorded Tarab music, Zaire Ngoma, which is a genre of Mijikenda music. They've recorded Abakisimba, Makadem, and they're just getting started. So Karibu Simila.
Asante sana. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. And then we have Ingabire. I hope I said that right. And he is an audio. We have a lot of audio engineers in the house. He's a cultural producer, and he's also a drummer. Yes, from Burundi, based in Kenya. And yeah, he's done a lot of projects in the studio. I've actually met him, or how I met him was through a podcasting project I was doing in Nairobi. But beyond that, he is definitely a cultural producer and has worked with a lot of collectives that we have here. He's worked with Uli and Tata. He's worked with Ketebul, with Singing Wells. So yeah, doing the amazing work of recording this traditional music. And he also has his own organization known as AFIKC, where they are also documenting not just music, but also the oral traditions, the spiritual practices, and the healing knowledge of African cultures. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Furaha, for this forum. I'm so excited about it, to be here with people that I respect and old friends, people I've worked with. And I'm looking forward for this discussion tonight.
Awesome, awesome. So are we. And finally, we have Mbutch Mjingoma, who is also very well versed in the preservation and recording space. He's a Kenyan percussionist, he's an instrument maker, and also a very good teacher if you want to learn how to play any percussion. He's also the co-founder of Debe, a group of musicians who are very dedicated in preserving our instruments, our indigenous instruments. He plays instruments like the bungo from Mijikenda, all the way to the yidaki from Australia. And how I met him was because he was part of the Sample Bar Kenya project. Maybe some of you heard about it, where they traveled all over the country, recording samples of different Kenyan instruments and songs, as a way of, again, preserving and also seeing how can we sample this traditional Kenyan music and instruments. So karibu Mbutch.
Asante sana Furaha. Nashukuru sana.
Asante pia for being here. So with that, we'll start with the conversation. So I think I'll start with Mbutch. So yeah, ni wewe.
Okay.
Didn't see that coming.
I didn't see that coming. Anyway, but I'm ready.
Okay, nice. So I think my question to you is, what inspired you to start recording music, traditional music? Because you've done it all over the country as a field recordist.
Oh, okay. So this is like, it's a journey to me because first of all, there was a time, year 2000 to 2004, I was in National Museum under one of my teachers that I respect, Adero Agan, and we were like with the other percussionists, Idi, Shutu, Katana, Wakake, and then after all the artists at the museum, they were told to go out, even the Kuanatas were there. So, and for me as a Nairobian, I was like, oh, what am I going to do? So I said, oh, I need to research because by that time I was playing djembe and making djembe. And I was like, this is not a Kenyan thing, regardless that I'd done some tours with it. So, and then I had just come from tour with Big Matata. That time Big Matata were here. We had gone for a tour, a reggae concert. We stayed in Italy, came back. And then I said, I need to start to do research to know myself. Because my aim was for ethnomusicologist. And that's why I always say that I address myself as a self-taught ethnomusicologist. So, and that's when the journey of doing research started. I went to Coast, I stayed with the Wazes there. I started learning and learning up to this. So I can say it just started like that. And by when learning, and then I started recording things by cassette. That's how it started until up to now. I feel we need to preserve a lot of instruments and music because most of our traditional music, especially from the coast, because that's where I major. They are the brink of extinction. So I don't know if I've answered you what's inspired me, but I just found myself. I think it's a calling. Just that decision.
Yeah. I think what I hear from you is that you wanted to reconnect to your East African roots and your Kenyan roots. And because, as you said, like the djembe is West African, but what about the maboom boom boom from the coast?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was more of like a coming home.
Yes, it's coming home.
Okay. Okay. Maybe I can pass the same question to Ingabire, because you've also been doing a lot of projects on this. So why did you start recording traditional music apart from, your audio production work?
I would say personally, traditional music has always been part of my life. From a tender age, for reasons that are also unknown to me, I asked on my 7th birthday for an instrument called inanga. It's a Burundian instrument, string instrument. It's also in Rwanda they play inanga as well. Then I started learning the inanga instrument. I got a teacher. Then later I joined a cultural club where I learned now to play traditional Burundian drums.
Yeah.
And even my first time traveling outside of my home country was because of a Burundian drummers team I was in. Yeah. Then I got influenced by other things. Then I kind of stopped. Then came to Kenya in 2012 and did some course in sound. Then my first internship as a sound engineer was at Ketebul. So
okay.
We connected again with, you all know that Ketebul is heavily doing this.
Yes.
Yes. So then at some point, I told myself, hey, you need to stop fighting it. It's you have it. Yeah, because partly it wasn't seen as a cool thing to do for the longest time. So
yeah,
it felt like picking a guitar will be better. I'm not saying guitar is bad, but I was fighting doing what was in me. And then how else can I do it better than collaborating with people who share the same vision and values? So that's where now I started being involved in Ketebul projects and Sample Bar, Uli and Tata, in like various projects in the same sector. So yeah, so I stopped fighting it and I'm doing it to reconnect, to learn about myself, connect my identity, and also found out that it's a case of most people who they really want to reconnect again. Like, I have this tool and maybe I can help other people to reconnect with their culture through music, through folk music, through stories that were there that weren't documented.
Beautiful, beautiful. I can highly relate to that, and I'm sure everyone else can relate to that calling of reconnecting to our roots and using our skills to be able to help other people to do the same. And yeah, since you've mentioned Ketebul, I wanna throw this on to Tabu. Because Tabu, you've been doing this for a long time. Maybe could you tell us of a moment where a moment that happened that reminded you that this work was important, because you have a wealth of knowledge and experience, and have there been moments that have shown you that wow, what we are doing is important, it's not just wasting time and money?
No, I'll just go back to what I'd said before, that I believe there's been an absence of cultural memory across East Africa.
Yes.
And I'm talking this because I'm happy, I'm lucky a bit to have lived in Congo for many years. I've lived in Uganda, Burundi, the UK, South Africa. So I've seen how the current trend of music is, and why they are actually succeeding, and why we are not succeeding in East Africa. So that's why I said, look, traditional music is the source of contemporary music.
Yeah.
Once you know your traditional music, you can actually make it funky and sexy. You see, I think I was saying earlier today, I was talking to Anna, that countries like Nigeria, they rely very heavily on their traditional music. From the 1920s, they had juju. Juju was just traditional music or Fuji music. Then you see people like Fela took the same traditional music, mixed it with American funk and made it sexier and fun. And I'm just giving an example of these two powerhouses for now. And South Africa, it's the same thing. If you go back to the 1920s, there are records, there are documentations that there was music called Marabi. Then from Marabi, we had Kwela, Bakanga, Kwaito, and now Amapiano. See, Amapiano sounds very sexy now to the young Kenyans, but it's not our country. These guys they took their very, very old traditional music and made it, gave it contemporary arrangements.
Yes.
I live in Kenya, when we talk about things like Benga, Mboko, Tarab, we look at it as if it is very old because we have not been able to take it and make it current. And that's what really made me. Since the young generation did not have any documentation, I said, look, let me go out in the rural areas and collect this music so that they can listen to it in its raw form.
Yes.
And see how they can make it contemporary.
I see. And I feel like you have succeeded with that. I mean, with the artists that you've recorded and released, they are definitely have gotten inspired by this music. I mean, I'm just thinking of someone like Fadhili Cholia who discovered Omutibo through singing wells, if I'm not wrong, and now was able to make it his own.
That's very true. I mean, there's a time I told Fadhili to accompany me to Western Kenya.
Yeah.
And I reintroduced him in Mutibo, which is like part of his roots. And not just Fadhili. I mean, I think another very good example is Makadem. When I met Makadem, he was playing nothing but hip hop.
And dancehall.
That's all. I told him, Makadem, why don't you do something more traditional? Somebody like Ayub Ogada gave us a very good example that you can play the TT and make it international.
Yes. Indeed. Thank you for sharing that. So let's go now, because now we know the why we are doing this. Let's go into the process of recording. So Simila, I know you've recorded lots of groups in different parts of this country. So could you maybe give us like a breakdown of the setup when you're recording an artist? Do you go to them? Do they come to the studio? And what does that setup look like in terms of gear?
All right. Thank you for the opportunity to speak about that. Max is actually here as well.
Hi guys.
And I would love.
Hi Max. Karibu.
Hi. Mambo Jumbo.
Mambo Jumbo. Yeah, Max is also part of music from East Africa.
Yeah. So the way that we've done it with Max. So when I met Max, we both had this dream to just go into the traditional music of East Africa actually, and really see what we can get from there, whether we can bring these artists out there, because most of these artists most of them don't pursue a career. They don't really think of their careers as something that can be a dedication or something like that, So we were looking at that and also taking some of the samples and transforming them into something like more along the electronic music scene, So this was our intention from the beginning, and so we had to go to Lamu. We started in Lamu. we had to find. Max actually started with a Tara band in Lamu, and then we went to Kilifi. We recorded Malimbo and for the Mzinga band, and then we recorded Saruni, and another Giriama drum group from Lamu as well. Yes, Makadem came to us in Watamu, and we had a session with him. Yeah.
The thing was, there was like it was missing to get some acoustic Macadam sounds, and these are really missed, So I just told him, you're here, you're around, you can use our studio in the house, and then we did this acoustic album with him. So I think it was a need that people get his feel, like his music, how it really sounds, when he's playing alone on the stage, not with any electronic influences. That's actually one of our main targets. Just really like focus on how the bands, how the musicians are really sound with their instruments,
without any added things. So we keep our recording setup mostly simple. We have the Shure microphones and the Zoom recorder. We use Ableton for recording, and we mostly just focus on collecting the sound as good as we can.
Directly. In the best case, we go to the village, because you mostly find the best acoustic in the small huts, in the mud huts.
Oh, okay.
It's the best acoustic. You can go in the best studio in the world, but you will never find that nice, beautiful, dry sound in a mud hut. And in the best case, you don't have a metal roof; you have a wooden roof, and then you win. Yeah, that makes a big difference. The reason why Msagapore sounds so nice is because we recorded that it was 100% wooden
wow.
hut.
So
Yeah.
wow, so like natural padding right there, soundproofing.
I prefer that, actually. I really prefer that, to be honest.
So
for the
we just
other,
go for
yes.
Sorry.
No, go on.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say we just go for that raw, authentic recording. But of course it has its challenges, because there's always, of course, the moments of background noise, sometimes the wind and all that stuff. We've had to be very inventive. Sometimes we find that we were using masks, this COVID masks as our microphone pop filter and that kind of thing, And so it's been a journey of learning as we do it, because it wasn't something that we were trained to do, anything like that, and it's not something that we thought that was easy to do, but we learned along the way. We were willing to learn along the way. Yeah.
Oh, interesting that you can use a mask as a pop filter.
Well, it's not as effective as a proper pop filter, but at least it removes some of muffles the sound a little, but removes most of the wind and pops. Yeah.
Gotcha. And for the other field recordists in the house, if I might say, could you add something on that? Mbutch, do you have something to add?
Yeah.
Or okay, and also go, and then Ingabire will come.
Yeah, I can just say it's true what Max and Simila have said. Recording in a traditional house is the best. Even the first time that I did my sample bar music table, because I'm the one who brought sample bar in Kenya, and I'm proud of that. And we did in the first traditional house that we had to look where it's a place where it's very quiet, because there are still those places and they are very deep remote. For us, we did it in a place called Burundi, where you have to cross Galana River and those sides, and it was good to do it from there. And yes, there was sometimes you can find some challenges. Yeah, you can find some challenges when the makuti has some holes, the sound goes out, and some goads. So those are challenges that we came across. But the setup of recording was very easy, because we went first time we went with Steve, who that time he was working with Ketebul. Up to now, I believe he works Ketebuls. So he was the sound engineer there, and my part was sound designing. So we had to just put some blankets, and we got a good sound, and that's how we started. And we just used Shure mics and simple Zoom, Zoom H5, and yeah, we got the sound. So that was the process of recording.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that valuable information. Yeah, Ingabire, tell us more.
What I can add on what my friends have shared, I normally have an approach, a live studio recording approach, even if it's not, you don't have the luxury of a soundproofed environment. I think, yeah, in my head, I know I'm recording a live band. So I have that approach. So from laptop and mixer, can be any mixer. Then I use mostly dynamic microphones and shotgun mics. I tend to avoid condenser studio mics because of the environment.
Yeah.
And of course, I use accessories like windscreens, like they said. I remember also with sample bar, we used to with Mbutch, we used to carry like blankets and foams, like foams to try to soundproof the place, like a house we got. So the goal has always been how can I get quality while staying lightweight, because sometimes you're going to a desert, sometimes you are going to a mountain to record music. So you try to stay light. A portable studio that can help you to be flexible enough.
I seem to have lost everyone.
Okay.
We're here.
We are still here. We're still here.
Giscard went.
Nice.
Sorry. I'm back. I was saying like a portable studio that is reliable and flexible to manage despite the terrain.
Okay, gotcha. So blankets, dynamic mics, masks, all of that. Lovely. So now, Chief, you've traveled, all over the country recording this amazing children folk songs. I'm curious how you, as we say, huku Kenya, uliwaingiza box. So how were you able to, create trust with these different communities that you are recording? Because it's like, you're going to new territory, meeting new people.
So my background is more in story. I've been making either comic books or graphic novels since 2010. Like even doing it in a newspaper, that type of thing. So the background is very much story, visual arts, that type of content. So I'm almost a music archivist by accident. In that, because the show is about the kids, the songs are disappearing and the bird is helping them find the songs. That's the story. So half an episode is dedicated to like a setup, and then the plot comes from the songs themselves. So you have to go into the community to get the songs. And we realized very quickly that if you're going to sit in Nairobi and just Google, you just reproduce the stereotypes and the biases that are already there online, because because you only get the search results based on what's digitized, and much of our culture is not digitized. So all you can get is a stereotype. So we found ourselves like standing on the shoulders of like the work that people like Tabu have done. Like I even met Ingabire through you know, like the experience with Tabu, and like, so it's just spreading through this. And when you go to you know, different areas, like going to Chalbi Desert, it's one of the best ways to meet people, because you're meeting them in a place where people are most joyful. Childhood, you know, people are most joyful around childhood. It's like children bring out the best in us. So you meet people. I'm not like a you know, no offense to NGOs, but I'm not like an NGO going to collect data on sanitation or something like that. Like you ask them like, hey, what did you used to sing? You know, and it's nice. So yeah, I would say it's overall been quite positive. You know, there's a hiccup here or there. Like sometimes when you're crossing to northern Kenya, you have the police with all these paramilitary, what do you call it, masks and whatnot, anti-terror police, and they make you put all your equipment on the tarmac. You know, in Ingabire, you can remember when our equipment, you know, it looks like weapons. They're like, oh, drones, you have drones, this type of thing, you know. So for me, what I'm most curious about is like, what is the infrastructure for archiving? Because we didn't all necessarily come to archiving with the same intention as, like, say, what Tabu did in Ketebul. But we find ourselves like very quickly, we had like 67 terabytes of data worth of songs, footage, and like dancers and all the things that you just accumulate, and you don't necessarily have. Even when we are looking for funding, the funders, when they're looking for a place to cut, they want to cut research. You see, so it would be nice if there was like state infrastructure, something like Bomas of Kenya. Then we could all just share the cost somehow. But as it stands right now, we are using our own servers and this type of thing, and we are vulnerable to cyber attacks, ransomware attacks, where people just wipe your drive. If you're online, they just wipe your drive and ransom you, you know, like millions. So we need that robust infrastructure if we're going to, you know, do it in a way that lasts, because if you can think of African history in a way almost as a history of data loss, you know.
True.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you for bringing that up. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, the storage of this information and protection as a key need. Does anyone want to add to that, or comment on that?
I think at Ketebul, what we normally do with our partners in the UK, Abubila Music, we always have our staff in Nairobi, and they always have a backup in London, just in case anything happens. And so I think having a backup is very, very important, because you can lose a work that has taken you years actually to build. So we're always very careful about that. And maybe going back to the recording, normally singing wells, we always do audiovisual. It's not just audio alone. We make sure that anything we capture is also on video. And normally what we do, we do a reconnaissance, because we really always would like to involve the locals. So we always go beforehand, talk to the locals, identify the musicians, explain to them why we are there. You know, we don't just like out of nowhere walk into village with gear, because then they can become very hostile. And so you have to explain to them exactly what we are doing, because we're not doing this work for profit. So we explain to them, this is what we want to do, what's got our culture. Because I think, as Chief said earlier, I think our history is very oral. And it might sound like a cliche, but it's very oral. So when one generation dies, nearly everything is dead. And that's actually exactly going back to what I was saying earlier, why we don't have a proper identity. And I always make a joke that an expatriate can come to Kenya, live in Nairobi for 5 years, and live in Kenya without knowing what Kenyan music is.
Okay, I hear you. Okay, I want to now, Matt. I want to ask you because so you've been recording mostly in the studio. I remember, with Ada Studio at the backyard, Whoop Whoop, all the way to Kilifi with Baobab Studios. Maybe let's talk about Baobab Studios because the most recent one. Has there been like a recording session that you've had that went completely differently from how you expected it? Like a surprise?
I think that's more a question for Karim, who's our lead engineer.
Okay.
So he's been in all those sessions. So let me pass the buck.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah, that's an interesting question you bring up. Based on the experience we've had so far, majority of the communities that we've recorded have no experience recording in a studio, and so well, the first group we worked with was a little bit more experienced, and so getting them into the rhythm of things was quite fluid. But then we had these communities that started coming in, and their style of performing the music is just by basically doing it the way they know how to do it. Yeah, and this would sometimes bring some communication barriers during the recording process. So you end up realizing that some things could have probably been recorded with a metronome, maybe because they wanted to add something later that yeah, it needs to be in sync. So and then you end up realizing that some music you actually just cannot record with a metronome. And so the challenge is that you get some content which is time based, and this is very useful, especially when you're trying to create sample packs, for example, for further archiving. And so you get some groups who just either cannot record with a metronome completely, or their music does not really follow a strict tempo. So it may start at a certain tempo, and then at a certain point it changes. The rhythm completely changes, the timing changes, and you just end up realizing that, oh no, this process cannot work the way we expect it to work. But at the same time, I feel it's also important that we keep some of these recordings that are just natural and not really fixed on a click track just because we're trying to get samples from them, or like time-based loop samples. It's about keeping some of them authentic in their own way. So we've had recordings where we're recording an album, but it's like a performance from beginning to the end. So you have around 40 minutes of just this one album. And then you have other projects where the artists are actually doing the song one by one because they're recording it with a tempo. So yeah, this was a challenge in the beginning, but in the end, yeah, you sort of want to keep it as authentic as possible. And I think if it comes like that, then it's gonna be like that, and we'll let it be like that. So yeah, I don't really see it as a challenge anymore. I think it just speaks the authenticity very well.
Can I just sort of say something about that, about the tempo changes of traditional music? Is I really believe that this 4/4 is this 20th century model of pop music that's created for marketability purposes. And this is where a lot of, from where I'm from, Northeast England, and it's where a lot of our traditional music got completely lost in the 20th century as American music took over, and we had the Beatles and the Rolling Stones dominating our airwaves. And also in line with globalization and with capitalism really coming to a forefront, then it meant that Celtic music and, traditional groups were, when I was growing up, it wasn't cool. It wasn't something that we would look for. It was kind of a strange thing in the corner of the pub, and it wasn't respected. And I see a reflection there in that. So to see the authentic, natural, human elements of music coming through in these recordings is so important. And it's I think to record that and champion that is a reaction against the homogenization of music and the globalization of music. And as a result, now in the UK, we're seeing a reversion back to our roots. Finally, there is folk music again. There is traditional music, and we're finding out what our natural rhythm is again. And to get political about that, for me, that allows us to be freer from that system of control, and that system of control that as British we implemented upon the rest of the world. So I think that's one reason why these projects are so important to me as an Englishman, and to experience that and to find, our human natural rhythm, which is not necessarily in the grid. Even though I've been promoting house music for the longest time, this is very relieving, and I think it's a very important aspect of what everybody on this call is doing. And Tabu, like the work that you've been doing now, you're seeing the impact of that within Kenyan music, and it will only breathe more life into, the identity of East African and Kenyan music and the humanity there. And I think that's what's so great about it.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for bringing that, I guess, comparison between, British music, like folk music in the UK as well as in Kenya. And yes, the way that pop music has made music to all sound the same, yet traditionally we have our own rhythms. And yeah, we are now getting back into it. There's like this whole uns, what would you call it? Tumechoka na uns. I think that's fatigue, uns fatigue, I'll call it that, because it's just the same old, yet we have so many rhythms, the polyrhythms, which, now as you are recording at Baobab Studios, you are realizing that music doesn't follow the metronome. It follows its own rhythm, and it's okay for it to follow it that way because it's reactivating a part of us. And Miali also agrees with Matt and says, as a half Scottish person who still plays Scots fiddle, I suddenly find people interested in something I did that was very uncool as a kid, and would love to learn more about this journey in Kenya, East Africa, and further. Yeah, and that's why you're here. And yeah, I mean, we are definitely looking forward to hearing the music that Baobab Studios have been recording. I've shared a link for the music from East Africa have recorded. They have a couple of projects on their Bandcamp. So that's on the chat. You can click and listen to some of this traditional East African music. So as we finish on the challenges part or the process part, I'm curious on how, especially the field recordings, like how do you handle things like unexpected weather, or like maybe it starts raining, or noise just comes out of anywhere, or just like an unexpected disruption, because I'm sure these things happen all the time. So I'm gonna throw this out there, to whoever catches it. Like, how do you guys deal with these unexpected issues that happen on the ground, or even just losing like files? How do you guys deal with those things?
You can speak. Being very patient, guys, I would say. Plan it very well. Don't expect too much from the beginning. You always have to have that time of like anything can happen anytime, and this flexibility makes it actually not really possible to plan something very very good, you know, when it comes to a
Yeah.
field recording. Yeah, you go, you meet the people. In the best case, you have that time. You take a week. You spend time with the people. You drink some beer with them, some Monazi, whatever. You just try to know them better. How they play, how their moods are. Yeah. Like that's a big problem. The most producers have a very tight time schedule, I would say. We all have like a few days, yeah, and then we should get the best out of it, and that makes it really, really hard to get really good recordings. To be honest, yeah.
Okay.
It always depends what you expect from your recordings. If you're fine with some sounds and what is really disturbing you when the motorbike someone is just too loud all the time, you know, you have to be flexible. Yeah.
I think as singing wells, we always rely so much on doing a good recce, because that also means a lot. So once we have identified the village, we involve the locals. They become our friends. So we always have a plan A and a plan B. So by the time the whole team arrives, because normally when we do a recce, maybe just one or two of us. So by the time the whole team comes, we know exactly what to expect.
Cool. I'm also talking about taking this time with the musicians, with the bands, to just, not getting friends, but to know each other better. And then the vibe is completely different. You know, people give 100% and not 50.
Yep.
You agree? Yeah?
I do agree, yes.
Yeah. Cool, interesting. Yes. Simila,
Yeah, sorry.
I think that's good.
Okay, so yeah, what I'm hearing is a lot of prep, a lot of patience. Anything can happen, and take your time. Ingabire?
I can echo the same sentiment from Tabu and Max. You have to kind of create a trust before recording. You have to follow protocols. Sometimes even learning the cultural context. You can find in some communities. If, for example, you're recording women and kids, Chief knows about this as well. You're not, for example, you're not allowed to talk to them directly. You can only talk to the elders. So you have to build that trust before hitting record.
I realized also that this is a kind of respect you give to the village. The same in our country, in Austria. You can't just go into a village or call someone to record music. Yeah, you have to just introduce yourself, take your time, talk to the people, sit down, and then something comes, you know. And then you never know. Maybe someone is sick at that time and can't give what he is normally able to give when he's making his music. So the best example for us is Msagapore. I think this album we were recording 3 times. Yeah, 3 times. We took like every single year. I said to you, bro, no, this is not that what we can get out of it, you know. And then we went back to the village. We took our time, you know, and made the setup, and really like it was really worth. Msagapore was ready like 4 years ago. Actually, we had that recordings, but we just decided to redo it and tell them, okay, this is all about what we are expecting. It's just like concentrate, focus on your songs, and they started to rehearse more actually, and really focused on the music they do, because they never heard a recording of their music, and that makes it so interesting and so nice, to come to someone who never experienced to listen to his own music on speakers. I know that from myself when I started to play drums in my band, you know, and then we recorded a tape, and I was listening to my drums, you know, and the music we played, I said, no, this is music we play? What? And the same happens here. It's so nice to see. Gives a lot of motivation to the musicians and to the bands to go on with their music and not to just play music for their friends, you know.
Yeah, I think from our side at Baobab Studios, it's been the other way around. We're recording in the studio, and for those who don't know, Baobab Studios is set on at beneath the Baobab's festival ground. And in the past, this is where we've been inviting people from all over the world and Kenya and East Africa for events. So as soon as we opened the studio last year, 2024, 18 months ago or so, of course, then it became an access point for musicians from within Kilifi. And Flavor Pole, our cultural liaison, you know, he opened this channel to invite a lot of musicians and traditional musicians to come and see the studio as a place where they could come and record and also feel at home and be a part of what we do. And it's just taken a life of its own. And to see them feel comfortable with us, on this site off festival season, and also then be able to integrate them into the events and honor the traditional dance and music at the events as well as celebrate with them their stories of Makatalili Wamenza and Mashujade and such. And it's really become an amazing partnership and an amazing sort of unity through friendship, which makes the recording so much fun. And every day that we do that, it's just so much joy in the studio. And the next days when we are recording our other music, it feels different in the studio. So it's having that relationship is key, and having that time and that space for people to feel comfortable. We're very lucky to have that, and now to see Beneath the Baobabs become more of a cultural center and a space for that. And I think that's probably where the development of that space will go. And yeah, it's a huge privilege for us all. So yeah, it's the other way around, but having the space and to build those relationships respectfully is amazing.
The microphone is not on. Ah, it's on.
Okay.
Cool.
Can you hear me?
Oh, sorry, guys.
Maybe I can also
please.
add from Music from East Africa side. Hi, everybody. I'm Johannes. I'm also part of Music from East Africa. Sorry, I joined really late. So in case you already did a round of introduction, sorry I missed that. But also, Matt, really nice to see you here. I haven't had the chance to meet you in person, but of course I know about the Baobab Studios. So that's a really nice opportunity. Thank you very much. I was just thinking about something you said, Matt, and also Max prior, when it comes to taking the time in the context of field recordings. I wouldn't say that I'm personally an expert on recording in general and field recording especially, but we did go on a very interesting and very revealing tour to Western Kenya in 2024 for a week or even a bit longer than that, to do some field recordings there. And apart from what has already been mentioned in terms of, you know, taking the time to really connect to the people, understanding the social environment that you enter, and you're never a passive recorder, right? The second you arrive in a scene, you're always an active participant in the social life in that time that you're there. Probably quite a disruptive force as well, because you're there, you're attracting attention, you might, you know, pull some musicians away from their families or their daily chores, or all of these things have to be taken into consideration. So definitely, I think taking the time, maybe even if the budget and the time is there, having a first trip to kind of, you know, touch base with everybody, kind of get a feeling for the place and the people, and then really understanding what will work and what doesn't. Then it goes on to finding the right location. You know, we can't predict the weather, so if it rains, it rains, but maybe we can find a place where there's no cows right next to the right next to the recording site, for example. But then also, and I think that's really interesting, something that Max said, is that it's true, right? A lot of musicians especially in the more traditional folk sense. What we realized then is that maybe it even takes some time for musicians to get accustomed to the idea of playing their instrument first as a first track, and then recording their vocals over it as they listen to the instrument track on the headphones. That's also a skill that has to be acquired, something to get used to. And I think sometimes as musicians or people producing music, we take all of that for granted and rush into things and don't give the musicians that we work with the time to get accustomed to our workflow. So I think, yeah, time is key, sensitivity is key, and when these things come together and there's a good feeling for what you get yourself into, then the whole project and the music ultimately is going to be better, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Johannes. Beautiful. Matt, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I think one example is some groups when they've been coming to the studio, will put their headphones on, put mics in front of them, and they'll start recording and playing, but it wouldn't necessarily come true to them, and they wouldn't be very happy. And then we realized that they needed to dance because that's how they would be performing naturally, and usually they would always be dancing whilst singing and playing. So once they realized they could relax and it was okay, they can as they would wherever they are, just that they've got headphones on and a mic in front of them. Yeah, I think that's one example of that.
Thank you.
If I can just add to that, sorry, there's another one that came to mind. When we were in Western Kenya to record, there was a drum group, quite significant size, I think 10 people plus even. And it was all a bit rushed on that first day. I think that was our kind of like trial day, and we met with them and they wanted to play outside. So we tried to, have a setup with overhead microphones and all of that to kind of capture them in the space. And then exactly the same issue that Matt just outlined. They're very used to moving in circles when they play. So maybe the lead drum would kind of like walk backwards and then everybody follows. So we were really struggling a lot to kind of capture them and keep them in one place. And even had like a second recording session with them where they were kind of trapped in a corner and couldn't really move left or back, which was really good for us to kind of capture that. But yeah, I can really sympathize with that, Matt. Whereas like we realized the energy flow has to be there if we just...
I don't know if it's only me who can't hear you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's muffled a bit.
Oh, really? I'm so sorry. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, so sorry about this. Yeah, just to finish that thought, I think, Matt, what you said is exactly right. Like the energy flow needs to be there. If they're used to dancing, then this has to be accommodated somehow. So we tried to have that happen where they could, move, but kind of like move in one space rather than moving in circles, so we could still capture the audio the way we wanted to. But yeah, very interesting conversation. Thank you.
Thank you for being part of this. And in that case, I mean, I've seen like with Singing Wells, I don't know if you use lapel mics or something, because I see they dance as, it looks very like this is how they would do it. Tabu, I don't know how you guys do it when you have a group who is dancing and singing as well. How do you record it? I mean, also Ingabire, you've been there, so you could share.
I think I'm not really the sound guy. Maybe Giscard can answer that. But I know we used to use lapel, but we don't want to use lapel. And then, because right now I think we have a Zoom recorder H6. And then, of course, the video we have FX3, Canon 5D, and 7D. But the nitty-gritty of recording, I think, will be Giscard can chip in that. This is what before, and he knows exactly how the field set up.
Yes. In the context of a group singing, maybe like the example that was given earlier, singing while going round. Mostly because that's what they're used to. So you can just put their microphones and tell them to stand and sing. So mostly we go with lapels. We can do lapels for the lead singer, and we can have overhead microphones while for the background vocals.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. That helps a lot. Okay, so I think we've talked enough about the process and the challenges and the lessons as well. So let's go now into the opportunities. What opportunities exist for cultural workers in this field recording and preservation space? Like if someone wants to get into this work, what opportunities exist? Gaps that are there. I mean, Mbutch, maybe you could start. It's been a while since we had you.
Yeah, so for me, to say about the opportunities, I didn't see any opportunity. For me, because all the researches that I've done, it was just through my pocket, no funding. It's just me tightening my belt whenever I have done some classes, and then I backpack, I go to a village, stay there, learn, get sick, get healed, and that's how it is. But many opportunities, like, for example, most of the places, the people at my age, they don't want to inherit what their grandfathers or grandmothers they are doing. Because when they look, the separation, what their parents are going through, they feel like, oh, we don't want this. So to say about opportunities, there must be somewhere, but I've never come across an opportunity where like a funding that can support somebody to go and do. So that's I've not come across, but I believe it's somewhere. And, maybe it's me who have not targeted, but I know many people at my age, they don't want to do it, especially traditional music. Yeah, the ones that we are very few. They are counted, and even those who are starting it, who went to that, they don't live here. They have gone. They are living in other countries. So, but here in Kenya, in the village, they will just do some music because maybe during ceremonials, burial, weddings, and apart from that, they don't want to practice. So that's why a lot of our traditional music, a lot of even instruments, they are at the brink of extinction. That's through the experience that I've traveled all over Kenya, all the regions that I've traveled and seen. That's what I came across. So something needs to be done. But I don't know that something needs to be done.
Thank you for your honesty. I don't know, Chief, I'd like to hear from you because, as you said, you came into this as a researcher, and but now you're in this space. Do you see there are spaces for, especially young people, to enter?
Okay. So I'd like to speak on two things. Also, an earlier point that Johannes and them were talking about, the relationships that you build when working with people. It really is really profound, and I don't think I've yet come to a way that's ideal, because we're also constrained with the resources that we have. Like when we were in Samburu, for example, it was not necessarily our intention to use children's voices in the final recording. We wanted to record children to like understand what the songs are like, and then like maybe produce them in a studio setting. Ingabire, correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Right.
But then in the process of recording, we found this young woman whose voice was so divine, so beautiful. We were like, hey, there's no need for us to waste time, doing another recording. This is it,
Yeah.
But then we discovered that in Nairobi, we're like, oh, but we didn't have like a recording contract with her or whatever. So we had to travel back the next year all the way back to Samburu, and found like she had suffered burn injuries because they trade in diesel, like something they do with the grandmother. They sell diesel to border borders, and then she got burnt. So she'd gone through a lot of tragedy in that 1 year since we'd recorded, and we went to her and played her the music, and she started crying, man. Like, anyway, like, so those type of relationships, like how do we make it more circular, that even as we are creating products and this type of thing in the global market, that it becomes more circular. So that's the why for me, or like going to the places where we recorded in Chalbi Desert, for example, in my corner, if you remember, Ingabire. Yeah, the ECD center where we did the recording had no teacher. It was a the teacher had left, he'd gone to a neighboring school, and he just came back just to help with the project. But that's a really beautiful song that was made. So anyway, to the opportunity, it's what Tabu said for me. He says that you have to make it current. And the way we publish the music, obviously animation is a modern medium. It has its formats that are governed by the rules of like the different platforms where they're screened, whether Netflix or whatever. And like you just can't do Fela Kuti 20-minute songs, where you where you spend half the song just building momentum with instruments and then you sing it. Like, so you have these constraints. So you can make the music fit those constraints, like make it 3 minutes or whatever. But then you also, I feel like with animation, it makes it a new medium. And it's so many different talents work inside animation. The only thing that I know that's maybe more than that is games, where you have even like, so it goes back to what Tabu was saying. If we can make it more current, connect it to other pipelines and other marketplaces, like there's no reason why if you're playing a video game and you're in a mugumo tree, for example, you shouldn't be hearing Geshande as you approach the thing, So we are growing very organically, and we are finding that maybe it's best to have a vehicle to do specifically the music. So right now, Manu is trying very hard to register a record label called Blue Turaco, because the main creature in the animation was the Blue Turaco. So we want. Yeah, Tuki, exactly. So we want to have like Blue Turaco records that can just do when filmmakers want soundtracks for different scenes in their stories. It was very much demand led. Like we got queries from like DocuBox and these other guys. So yeah, we can create new marketplaces, make things more current. There's big opportunity, of course. As with every other startup in East Africa, capital is always the issue. Yeah. Especially something like research, which can't show the immediate returns. It's always a tough sell, but we can plug it into other products if you like. Like now we have Pungulu Party, which we're doing in 2 days' time on Sunday.
Yes.
Which is now a festival, like for all those people who don't just want their kids to be watching on screens. They can come to a physical event where you hear the music performed live, you see the dancers live, and there's such a hunger for that right now. So having such marketplaces is another opportunity. Speaking of opportunities, and of course it's the pilot, so we don't have that many musicians, but if it grows and there's a lot of interest, there's no reason why you couldn't be bringing musicians from Loyangalani, or even further, or Burundi drummers or whatever. It can be a real East African festival, and the demand is there. It's just logistics, the rest is logistics.
Wow. Yes, love it. So using new media to share this music even further, whether it's through games, films, animations, events. And also I love that you've brought up the point of, the circular of these musicians. How can they also benefit from these productions and recordings that have been made? So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Matt, please share your thoughts.
Yeah, I totally echo Chief on all of that. I think something that really inspired me before we started doing this Lutsaga recording project was going to Ioma, the Indian Ocean music market in Reunion. First time I went was with Tabu, actually. So that was an amazing experience. And it was fantastic to see the investment that the government had put into their traditional music of Maloya. And Maloya is so celebrated in Reunion. And the festival that we were at there after Ioma, it was Sakifo. And there's so much Maloya, Maloya in an electro manner, or Maloya in a traditional manner, or so many different types of groups that were clearly representing their communities. And Maloya is the liberation music from slavery period, and it was actually banned in Reunion Island in the 80s or 90s. So to see this reinvestment in that music and the celebration of it at this 40,000 person festival, and a whole stage dedicated to that, was hugely inspiring to me. And so I think, some of those Maloya groups are traveling the world, and they're representing their culture and their story and all the rest of it. So, with Wanzele, for instance, I don't see why that cannot happen with Wanzele. It's completely taken over the coastal area at the minute. It's on everybody's phones, and it's the best dance you'll have in the coast. That's better than my house music dance floors, that's for sure. Don't tell anyone I said that. But so, and I think that, Mr. Bado, Mzetendere, there is, if given the right opportunity and the right investment, obviously Reunion is a French principality and it has French investment, even though it's a very poor island, and but it does have those structures that Kenya doesn't necessarily have. We have to look for independent funding from outside or from philanthropists, for instance. But the fact that this group here there's so many of us doing these recordings over these past years, it shows that it is happening, and it's just a critical mass. And I think you can see that also with how big these Kikuyu festivals and Luo festivals have become. Certainly since I've been in Kenya, they were nothing compared to what they are now. They're enormous. So it shows that embracing of the different cultures within Kenya, and the possibility of then for exploitation of that, and yeah, more festivals celebrating traditional music and the development of it, the history of it. I think that allows for the platform within the region and for artists and the teams around those artists to find a living from that, and to be respected with it. And I think, sometimes as well with traditional music, it's also okay for it to just be traditional, and for it to just be ritual or celebration as well. It totally depends on the players and the community and where their dreams lie with that music, where their purpose lies with that music. But for those who are looking for it to go further, then I think, events, festivals, and more folk festivals. One other thing that we're looking at doing with some of the groups and the recordings that we're working with is putting jazz composers, for instance. So we're working with guys like Kato Change and Sam and Beluka to arrange and work with some of those traditional musicians. Also to see if it can be taken into the jazz and folk international market as well, in for Cape Town Jazz Festival or Montreux or Japan, and there's real possibility in that, and so I think it's just having the time and the space and to be able to do it and the energy to do it. So, but yeah, I'm very hopeful about where it can go and where it is going and where it is now as well. It's fantastic.
Great, thank you so much. So yeah, like the work, I feel like all of you have done and are doing the work of recording the music so that more people can know about it. Now it's how do we take it to the next level, whether it's through festivals, it's through collaborations with other artists. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Ingabire?
I'm also hopeful and positive about ways of because what we are doing have been mostly funded. We haven't found out a way of making a business out of it, or helping even the practitioners to earn a living out of it. But things like this forum, for example, is a plus, is a positive movement. Like all these great people coming together who are doing the same thing, have the same vision. It makes me happy because eventually we'll find ways to we'll figure out how to do it. Other people are doing it, so we can, if we come together, we can definitely do it. Whether it's what was shared earlier about modernizing, making music current, sample packs, people are doing it, working with animators, filmmakers, for sound design. All those avenues are positive and can bring income to practitioners, event festivals. So I'm very hopeful that if we can have also these forums more often and get more, it will definitely we'll definitely figure out how to do it and make a living out of it.
Exactly. Yeah, so many opportunities exist, and I'm also just thinking of like sampling, because there are so many artists who, I mean like contemporary artists who are in Nairobi or wherever, who are listening to these sounds and they're wondering, how can I incorporate this into my music of course in an ethical way. We don't want people to go on YouTube and download a song and then just put it in their song without any credit or anything. So I don't know if any of you has thought about that, or like how can we also incorporate musicians who are who want to tap into these sounds and don't know how, but they want to. How do we open the doors? What are some of the ways you think we can widen and shorten this gap between the traditional musicians and the contemporary musicians?
Can I comment on that?
Please.
I'm just thinking about what Matt said, that it's okay for traditional music to stay traditional. But then immediately I thought about some traditional music like Samburu that at its core, when you listen to it, it's so hip hop, you know. The connection for me is so clear, you know. So I would love to get like a hip hop musician. I just give him a Samburu track, just rap in between the verses, and then have the man, it can fit so well. You know, they're just waiting. I don't know. Yeah, I think the ideas are not scarce. It's I don't know what it is, man. Like, do we have enough lifetimes? You know?
We have. So we've been doing that a bit with Kalamoto Chief, which has been fascinating. You know, it's a amazing sort of bastion for Swahili culture, and seeing how he puts his Swahili hip hop into sort of over tarab samples and Mwanzele and such. There's so many places that can go.
But anyway, I don't think we really have to worry too much about that, because it has been proven before. Like all of you know very well that the most successful Kenyan musicians ever, in terms of sales, in terms of being signed to big record level, has been Ayub Ogada. And Ayub Ogada was playing the Nyatiti. So to me, it's not about that there's a lot of opportunities for people who are playing traditional instruments. Just as I said before, it's how you play it, how you arrange it. You can play traditional music in a more contemporary way. I'm talking about Ayub Ogada. I'm talking about this Japanese lady called Anyango, who came to Kenya, learned the Nyatiti, and she has really incorporated it into her jazz repertoire. So it can be done. And another example is Makadem. Because Makadem, I told you, was a hip hop artist, then was playing the guitar. And I told Makadem, I am the one who brought Makadem that Nyatiti plays up today. I told him, look, forget about the guitar. There are too many people playing the guitar. There's too much competition. Play the Nyatiti and he'll be the king. And he is. It was more than most of these guys, so hip-hop guys. It was more than these guys who play the guitar. So there's a big opportunity for people. If we can increase popular artists to have in the repertoire and also learn the instrument, learn the nyatiti. Back to Makadem, when I introduced the nyatiti, he said, man, I can't play the instrument. I said, no, Makadem, you can. You play the guitar. So means you can also play the nyatiti. And he did.
Indeed.
Yeah. I think my experience has been that musicians who are in the popular music scene or in the more contemporary music scene, I don't know what it is, but they are sort of looking for a very specific sound, which is defined not really by us, but by outside influences. By that I mean like pop music from Europe and from America, you know. And so they want something that brings them closer to this glory, you know, that they perceive, right? So they have when you bring a nyatiti, it has this mystical allure to it, or a mystical vibe to it that doesn't feel like that's what they're looking for, you know. So they're not really interested in that. They don't become as creative in that with their art, you know, and that they lose interest quickly, you know. There's something that's, you know, I feel like it's something is gripping them to try and make it in that other scene that they see, you know. And so I feel the drive should be to try and bring musicians, just as Tabu has said, to try and bring musicians who already do it, you know, who already play. Like I knew somebody like Ngosi, the late Ngosi, who was a brilliant litungu player. I had him play litungu once. My mind was blown. His litungu is medicine, just the same way as Ayub Bugada's nyatiti is medicine, you know, like calms the soul and also brings out that inner fire. But these musicians, they lack a platform in the popular music scene because of simply how they package the music. Some of them manage how to package it, and it's accepted. But most of them don't really know how to package the music, and I think that's where we should have, you know, like we should put in our effort. You know, we should put in our effort to try and find those gems who play authentically, who don't really follow the metronome, you know, as has been said, and then bring them into this other world where they first of all have to understand the grooves and what they're about. You know, they have to understand why this groove, so that the guy is not jumping onto a house truck and they've never heard about, like, they don't know anything about what house is, what's the vibe with house, you know? And so they don't know how to translate their vibe into that vibe, you know? Yeah, so I think it's about finding those people and spending time with them and really, you know, picking out those qualities within them that can shine through in the contemporary music scene.
Wow. I think what I'm getting from this is there needs to be like a merge of these two worlds, the traditional and the contemporary. For the traditional artists to learn, you know, what are these other ways of fusing or packaging their music. I mean, of course, it is okay, as you've said, for traditional music to be traditional and be performed, whether it's in weddings or funerals or just the way it was meant to be. But there's also an opportunity for that to be elevated, and as well for the contemporary musicians to see what traditional musicians are doing and to work with them. There's definitely space for collaboration to elevate this music. So yeah, what I'm getting from this is like, collaboration and just these two worlds coming together so that our music can be relevant even in this day and age, and we can keep the music alive, keep the roots alive while still giving it a whole a new, as you know, as Tabu has said, like a different way than it has been done, that is appealing not just to the community that's playing it, but to the whole world. So, and I feel like, all of you have been doing that and are doing that, and I applaud all of you for that. You are definitely doing very important work, and I am so grateful to be part of this panel, to be part of this discussion with all of you. I have learned so much, and I look forward to what these connections will create even further. Definitely let's connect. We have Singing Wells represented, Uli and Tata, who have their Pungulu party this Sunday, so definitely support. Music from East Africa, lots of projects online, go listen and buy. Baobab Studios with their Saga project coming soon. Mbutch Mjingoma, who is just doing fantastic work everywhere. Ingabire also, wow. AFIKC, check it out, AFIKC.org. And of course, myself, LaMusicJunkie, being the bridge.
Yeah, take it.